Hey folks, how you doing? It's Kaylord Hill once again. It's the end of week 2 of the SoCreate's Screenwriter Stimulus Challenge. Thank you folks for following me, for all of those who have. And if you are just joining in on the journey with me, welcome and glad to have you. So I've talked a lot about, I think, advice and, learning milestones that I've encountered over the last couple, weeks of me writing, and I've kind of divulged a lot of advice, or just things that I have found that work for me that I want to give to the writing community. This week, or today, I think I really want to talk about the pages and where my story is going. So my story is about two people. One's a divorced restaurateur. The other is a grieving therapist who lost her father, and they embark on a journey to sort of throw the 5 stages of grief on his head, right? And so the reason why this story means a lot to me is I've had a lot of friends, family, what have you, endure some strife, some personal strife, when it comes to dealing with the loss of a career, a loss of a loved one, or a loss of a relationship. And so this has been a top of mind thing that I've wanted to focus on. The first draft for me is always kind of telling the story to myself. And I think once I realized that, I stopped judging myself so much in the first draft. And I started letting the characters and letting the story sort of come to me and tell me, this is what we want to be, this is what we need to be. And so in doing that this week, I have found out that this story that I'm writing, I've done 2 things that I typically don't do. Number one, I think I've pinpointed its scale. And then number 2, I think I've pinpointed the comps. Now I usually mess around with comps, so I'll just say there's one thing I normally don't do. But the comps are, for me, Medicine for Melancholy meets Roman Holiday. Both of them have 24-hour journeys, and I realized in writing over the last week or so that that's what this story is. This is a 24-hour journey about 2 people who are mourning the loss of a loved one and then mourning the loss of a relationship, trying to figure out how to overcome, the weight of grief before it really kind of takes its toll on them. And so they're trying to be more preemptive than reactive. And we'll see if it works or not. The other thing that I typically don't do, or the number one thing I normally don't do, I don't think about whether I'm going to shoot this or not shoot this. I don't think about whether I'm going to sell it to Lionsgate or am I going to sell it to HBO Max, or is this going to be a Netflix original? I typically don't think about those things. But this time I did, and I did because I really wanted to take ownership of this story. And I said, and one of the reasons why I moved to Austin, Texas is because I'm an indie filmmaker or indie storyteller. And so I want to shoot this story. I want to shoot this story, and I want to own its visual storytelling. I want to be able to put down, I want to invest in all the merits that this story has and possesses. And so I've really started thinking about, how can I write this story to scale based on the city I live in, and based on all the amenities that it has, and how can I explore Austin, and how can my characters explore Austin in a way that really serves the story, right? And so that has really helped me think about where I want to go with my second draft. So the writing is actually going really well. It's moving along at a great pace. I'm about 40 pages in. Tomorrow's the deadline, so I'm feeling pretty good about meeting the deadline, being 40 pages in. By the end of tomorrow night, though, I want to be at about 60 pages. And the reason why is I plan to finish this script this Saturday. So at the tail end of this week, I plan for this script to be done. And I want to do that because, for me, there are about 3 more things. There are 3 things that I want to accomplish in this script before I turn it in on the 28th. And I really want to put my best foot forward, right? So my goal is to finish the script, the first draft, on the 18th of this week. And then I'm gonna have my friends, my producer savvy friends from film school, take a look at it, and my screenwriter savvy friends as well, take a look at it and give me some notes. And then I will spend the most of like Christmas Eve and Christmas and what have you, really grinding it out and really polishing off the pages and putting forth the best story I possibly can. Folks, that's all I got. I'm pounding the pages going down as I always say. Until next time, keep writing, keep fighting. All right, see you soon.